Hello friends, welcome back to the Yitzy Guitar YouTube channel. This is not one of my typical videos here. I'm making this purely as a PSA to you guys because I did not know about this and I think it's pretty crazy. So here we have a Bigsby, as you can see, Bigsby B7 specifically. I bought this for a new guitar I just got that I'll be doing a video on the channel fairly soon. But let's go ahead and open it up and we'll talk about it. So this was purchased brand new, though it was aged. So kind of take a look at this. So it won't look like a new shiny one, but it is a new Bigsby. Fairly typical, right, for a Bigsby B7. Obviously aged, we can ignore that for now. There's two elements to it, and maybe you guys know about this, at least one of the two elements. I doubt you know about the second element. The first is where these are made. So Bigsby, obviously an American company with a ton of heritage and history here in America. Huge part of the story of guitar, of electrical guitar, you know, with the Bigsby guitar itself, as well as obviously the vibrato tailpiece here. An amazing company. Unfortunately, they were bought by Fender and they're no longer made in the USA, which absolutely is crazy to me. Now I'll show you real quick. The box itself says on the bottom here, made in Korea. So there you go. Was not obvious to me when I bought it. I didn't see, you know, there's no copy or anything that tells you it's no longer made in the USA. Everything looks exactly the same as it did when it was made in the USA. So that was a huge disappointment. Maybe you already know about that. That happened, you know, I don't know how long ago, maybe a few years ago. But here's where it gets even trickier. Look at this. This is the brochure that comes with it. Crafted in America. Well, it's not though. It says it's made in Korea. So obviously there's some tricky language there with crafted. What does crafted mean? Maybe legally crafted can mean something different than made in, for example. But what part of it is made in America? Is it assembled in America? I don't know. I'm going to do some research and I will be popping in this video as time goes on because I'm actually returning this Bigsby. So I'm just filming this beginning part here so I have a visual example to show you guys. So that's the first element. If you didn't know, modern Bigsbys are not made in America. Now, it used to be the B70, the import models, you know, the, I would assume B3, B30, B6, B60, B7, B70. The one with the 0 at the end of it was an import model made in Korea, so that's nothing new. The ones that were made in Korea were die cast, which is a different process for making the Bigsby. But the USA ones were always made in USA, obviously, and they were SandCast. Same as they were done, you know, way back since the beginning of the history of Bigsby. Well, let's look at this. Now, if you know anything about these two manufacturing processes, you're going to look at this and immediately notice this is definitely not SandCast. So again, this is a B7, not a B70. This is very clearly a die cast. Look at this. Right here, you see these three kind of circles, or four circles here, excuse me. Those are marks from die cast, from the process of doing that. Notice how smooth it is. SandCast has a very specific kind of grainy texture because obviously it's cast in sand. So it's going to have that. This is very smooth and very flat. There's also kind of some sharp edges and imperfections that you don't get with SandCast. You can kind of hopefully see that in the light. So this thing is completely not what I expected it to be. I expect it to be made in America. It's not. I expect it to be SandCast like the originals. It is not. Now, how far back does that go? Let me show you real quick. This says on the box, SandCast, the original handcrafted. This is 1000% not SandCast. There's very clearly no sandcasting being done to make this. This is very clearly die cast. Now, what's really fascinating to me is I want to know, when did this start? So I looked up on Reverb to try and find a Bigsby, you know, that I guess was older, you know, maybe a couple years older if this happened recently, to find one that was SandCast like the originals. And I could only find one listing on all of Reverb and one listing on all of eBay for a B7 that was SandCast. So some people have told me, oh, this happened in the past year or so. What are the chances of every single Bigsby on the market being purchased in the past year or so? Every used one, I should say. There are no new ones that are not like this. So this is kind of your signifier. Now the SandCast ones, they'll have markings here. They'll say like EX short and LP here. They'll have kind of a grainier texture like I just talked about, and none of these ejector circles from the die cast process. It's insane to me that Fender, so Fender bought Bigsby, if you didn't know that. It's a product of FMIC. I think it says it on here somewhere. Yeah, Fender Musical Instruments Corporation. So Fender bought it. They moved these to be made in Korea, and they still call them SandCast, even though they're very clearly die cast, and they say crafted in America on the materials. It's insane. I am so disappointed in this. I was really excited to get a Bigsby on that guitar, and now I got to try and find an older one. So this is a PSA to you guys. If you're looking for a Bigsby, maybe this doesn't bother you, which is totally fine, but it needs to be more clear from Fender, from Bigsby, that this is not made in the USA, it's made in Korea, and also that this is not made the same way they were originally made. Editor Tanner here. So out of curiosity, I wanted to see if by chance I just happened to buy a new Bigsby that was in old stock packaging. So thinking, okay, what is the most charitable, explanation here? Perhaps at some point, while they were made in Korea, they were still SandCast. There was a transition period, maybe it was short-lived. They had a bunch of boxes, and so they wanted to use up those old boxes. Still bad, obviously, but maybe mine is more or less a fluke. So I decided to reach out to a bunch of major retailers in the US and one in Europe, basically to see if they would send me a photo of Bigsby's currently on the shelves today, like what is available right now. So Guitar Center and Sweetwater, they couldn't send me photos, but Guitar Center's website does show a different box than what mine has on their product page, but it also says SandCast in the corner, so effectively the same thing. Next, I reached out to StuMac, and they kind of show up as one of the top search results when you Google Bigsby B7. Their customer service is great. They sent me several photos right away, and it's an identical box to the one mine came in, complete with the same SandCast mark in the bottom right. Next, I reached out to Thomann, which is the largest retailer I'm aware of in Europe. They also sent over a photo which shows their units currently on sale being exactly the same as mine. The box is identical. So I think that pretty definitively, proves my unit's not a fluke. At minimum, a significant portion of the Bigsbys on sale today are in packaging that states they're SandCast. So not great. Last of all, I decided to go to the source, right? Let's talk to Fender. So I reached out to the customer service directly. Basically, my goal is to learn when the manufacturing of the B7 switched to Korea, because I haven't been able to find a hard date on that. What portion is crafted in America? And then hopefully see if they'd explain the manufacturing process changes and timeline. So apparently, as you can see, here's their email. There's quite a lot of variety in the manufacturing model to model, but we'll stick to the B7 specifically, since that's the topic of this video. So Fender states they're very clearly SandCast in the USA and then shipped to South Korea for polishing and assembly. So I followed up after that email and I asked them, when did it move to Korea, the assembly? The person didn't know. And then they also further reaffirmed the B7 is, quote, still made in the US. It's still finished and assembled, or rather, it's just finished and assembled in South Korea. So again, their claim is it's SandCast in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and then shipped to South Korea for finishing and assembly. So I want you to keep that in mind as we jump back to the video. I'm going to be showing you a side-by-side with an older made in USA SandCast Bigsby I also purchased. And then I'm going to do it kind of side by side as a comparison. The official claim is they're both made in Kalamazoo. They're both SandCast. So these two items should be basically identical. The polishing and assembly is in South Korea. That's the only difference in theory. So with that in mind, let's get back to it. There you guys go. Just a quick little video, a little bit of a rant, but I just feel like I'm obligated to make sure you guys are aware of this because I was not aware, and it's just a big bummer if you care about that sort of thing. Maybe you don't, but I do. Fast forwarding a little bit, and here we go. Here is a genuine made in USA Bigsby. This is not a vintage model, but this is a made in USA SandCast, just to show how different this is. Obviously, this one is pretty beat up. So, I mean, the other one was too, but you should be able to tell pretty immediately just how more rounded it is in areas, the different look to it. Again, they're both aged, but it should be still fairly obvious. Now the feel is completely different on these. If I flip it over, this is where the biggest difference is that you can really see. So SandCast, you'll notice how it's got this kind of texture to it. Very different than the die-cast. Other Bigsby, which again was claimed to be SandCast. See, it's got the markings on it too. This is what all the SandCast ones had as a B7. Just very different. Now look how rounded this is here. See that? This was like a fairly sharp edge before, and you can see, you know, it's got some texture to it. With or without the aging, the SandCast will have that. And yeah, it's just completely different. Funny how this arm is a different arm. I have the original here as well, just in case anybody was curious. This is the Dwayne Eddy arm. Yeah, just really unfortunate to see how different this is. It's very frustrating, to be honest. And you know, I just wanted to do a PSA because I had no idea when I purchased that first Bigsby. The more informed you are, the better, right? There's no harm in knowing. I hope you guys can appreciate that. You as the consumer, you make the final decision. You get to vote with your money. So anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Until next time. See ya.